After you've done so much inner work and found who you actually are, no one really tells you the next step after that. I'm about to share it with you right now. The next step is calculated action. But before you do that, you got to know where you're at. Myself and so many people have been caught in what's called an overhealing trap, where they just get stuck in these cycles of doing inner work day after day, year after year. And here's the thing, bro. It's a cycle. It's a specific period in time where you do this work, right? You don't have to do shadow work and heal yourself every single day. It gets exhausting. And where people get trapped is they think that is all there is to it. But what that really does is it helps you avoid actually taking action on your business. Why? Because there's limiting beliefs, there's fears that are running in the background. And that's what's self-sabotaging you, right? Like, bro, if you just keep healing and don't grow your business at all, don't put any energy on getting clients or posting to get your social media out there, very little is going to happen. And I've been there. I've taken so many coaching programs. I've gone through so many retreats, especially early on in my growth journey. And you know how much my business grew? That much. I got results, don't get me wrong, but I realized early on that I had to do more than just the inner work. The inner work is 80% of it, don't get me wrong. But you got to do the 20% of the business stuff, right? Learning how to market, learning how to sell. A lot of people don't want to hear this shit, but it's the truth. I had learned it the hard way. I had to explain this to my clients. They learned it the hard way. But the last thing you want to do is get caught in this overhealing trap. I got my notes over here. Maybe you're constantly journaling, you're meditating, but you're not seeing any real momentum in your business. Sometimes it's an escape. We feel like we're doing something, even learning, right? And learning is so important. You gotta know your craft, right? You gotta know who you are. But there's a time where you just learn and learn and learn. You heal and heal and heal, but you don't apply any of it, or very little. That's part of the trap, bro. So if you want to step out of that, I needed to start focusing more on the next logical step. What makes the most sense to do right now, right? This will take you out of this trap instantly. And again, the goal is not to constantly be doing retreats, doing seminars to heal yourself. Like, they serve a purpose, right? And they'll get you some momentum as well. But I love what Kevin Trudeau says. He's like, once you've learned, he's making a souffle as a metaphor. Once you've learned how to make a souffle, right? You know what ingredients to use, you know how long it's going to take, you know the steps. Once you learn, and in your case, how to build the business, how to get yourself out there. Now it's time to make the souffle, right? You don't got to go, you don't have to go to 20 more online virtual retreats or events. Like, show yourself that you can make the souffle. Once you do, you're going to, as soon as you even make the decision that, you know what, yeah, he's right. You're going to start stepping out of this trap and actually start gaining momentum in your business and taking action. Another thing, upper limits are disguised as alignment. What do I mean by that? You tell yourself, it's not the right time. Let me wait. Hold on. It doesn't feel right just yet. But deep down, you're afraid of expansion. This is in this alignment. It's a nervous system stuck on survival, right? Like, there's always going to be a reason not to take action, right? It's never. It'll always feel like it's not the right time. But you can tell yourself that for years. And that could be the story that's running in the background, right? Like, you got to call yourself out. What are the BS stories that you're telling yourself right now as to why it's not time, you're not ready? How many clients I've taken through my truth process where they believe that they're not ready for the next stage of their business, and by the time we finish, they're like, holy shit, I'm ready. We broke through all the BS stories, the layers, the belief systems that were getting in the way. And literally the gap, the guy walked it the lady walked in, my client went through the process, and they realized, damn, they're more equipped than they knew. They're more ready than they know. And they've accomplished a lot more than they've given themselves credit for. So oftentimes this happens, guys. Like, it's not that it's misalignment. You could be very aligned. You just have these beliefs, these things that are affecting the perception of yourself and what you think is possible for you. Viewing your real potential. And once you address that, right, once you really see it for what it is, and you call yourself out on it, you'll start being able to get momentum. For a long time, I thought I was a failure. I thought I couldn't get to where I wanted to go because deep down, I believe I would fail. And I wouldn't even fucking try. And I would create stories and reasons, and I would get momentum, and I would stop, and it would just validate even more that I was a failure. And why? And as I went deeper into this, because that's how I felt as a son to my parents. I thought that, I disappointed them growing up with my grades, and I didn't follow the path that they wanted me to follow. So I was a disappointment. I was a failure. And that took me a long time to really go deeper into. And there's still part of that. But I've healed quite a bit of that belief. And you really show yourself. You show yourself it's not true, and you challenge that belief. You don't just freaking accept it. I guess that's who I am, right? Like, no, don't just settle for that. But this is what happens. Oftentimes, your limitations, your limiting beliefs, your upper limits, they come up in very sneaky ways that it feels true, right? It feels like it's your intuition. It feels like, oh yeah. That voice, right, the higher self or your spirit, and it's just your fear disguised. And I'm telling you, you can probably do a lot more than you think you can right now, and you can take that next step. Probably more ready for the next level than you think. Lastly, real growth requires a decision. Success is one decision away. It really is. When I decided to move from Chicago, Illinois to Sedona, Arizona, that was one of the most hardest but best decisions that I ever made. And I had to trust myself with everything I had because it didn't make any logical sense. Honestly, looking back, I don't know. I don't know if I would have done that again because all I had was my luggage, the clothes that I brought to the 4-day retreat in Sedona, my car, had a couple $100. I lost all my clients during that retreat. I lost. I say lost, but I finished all the clients that I had, and it did not make sense. It did not make sense to do, but I decided to take the leap. I knew this was the next step, and I was so fed up where I was in life, with who I was, and I had to jump. I was living with my parents at the time. I didn't feel free. I felt like I was in my own prison living there. And it's not because they're bad parents, but because I knew I needed to grow. I knew it was going to be nearly impossible to become who I wanted to become, staying there. And yeah, I was afraid. I was afraid to make that choice to move, but I knew it was right. And I would have paid whatever price. I didn't care if I had to fast. I didn't care to save money on food. I didn't care if I had to sleep in my car. It didn't matter to me because I knew this was going to help me get closer to who I wanted to become, who I wanted to be, and I had to find out who I was because I had this strength, this belief that I was powerful and I'm strong. And once I burned the boats, I'm like, all right, Roy, is that you, or are you bullshitting yourself? Like what, right? Those are the moments you really grow. When you make those life-changing decisions. And it doesn't have to be that extreme, but something that is going to change the whole trajectory of your life for the better. That's what I mean, right? And the truth is, your next level won't feel safe. It won't feel ready, but it will feel true. And Gifted entrepreneurs, they always rise, right? If that's you right now, if you're a spiritual entrepreneur, if you know you got a gift, you got something to give back to the world, make the decision to go all in, fully commit, make the videos, put your content out there, do whatever you have to do to make sure you serve that higher purpose. Don't count the cost, right? Excuse me. Like, make the choice. Really make the choice. I've never felt fully ready for anything. I just needed enough information to make the decision. And I'm more of the guy that acts first and then asks questions later. And it's good and bad. It's good and bad because I've gotten myself in some sticky situations because of that. But I also have taken action real fast because of that too. Right? So it's like, you don't stop waiting to feel different and stop waiting to feel different and start choosing different. Make new choices, bro, that are aligned with who you want to become. When I left Chicago, that was aligned with who I wanted to become. The retreat that I attended, it was a freaking, what's the word? It catapulted me, right? Catapulted me to who I wanted to be. And it was the best choice I ever made, but I had to trust myself so much. Maybe there's something right now that you're going back and forth with, that you're unsure, and it doesn't make any logical sense. And I'm not saying to not use any practicality. If anything, I would advise it, because I suffered a bit because I didn't use a lot of practicality at that point, but it worked out, and it's gonna work out for you either way too. But the more you can plan, the better. But every path is so unique, right? Because even with me sharing my story, you're gonna have a whole other story, and it can be so different. But at the end of the day, it's gonna, you gotta trust those choices that just feel so right, that you just know this is it. This is the next step, and it's gonna change the rest of your life. All right, so this is why, if you're a gifted entrepreneur, even if you're a business owner, bro, like, this is why you still feel stuck, right? Because maybe just to recap, you've gotten into the trap of overhealing, right? You kept doing the inner work, but you don't focus on the business stuff, on getting yourself out there and promoting your stuff, whatever your product, your offer is. Don't fall for this trap, right? You need both. You really need both. There's upper limits that are disguised as alignment, right? These stories, these limiting beliefs are pulling you like a puppet on strings, and you think it's your intuition, but there's just more reasons to stay where you are and to feel comfortable and to avoid the fear, to avoid the action. You got to call yourself out. All right, you're not going to grow staying like that, and you're really going to thank yourself once you take that leap of faith. Every time. I remember when, I'll share one more quick story. When I decided to go down this path of being an entrepreneur, of being a coach, I had $5,000 left to my name. I used to have a personal training studio. I was a trainer for a year and a half. I was living that life, working 15-hour days, and it fell apart, long story short, and I had $5K left to my name. I took that $5,000. I invested almost $1,000 into a program for me to start living my purpose full time. And as soon as I bought that, I had the intuitive nudge to go get a laptop. I'm like, it doesn't make any sense. No, I can't afford a laptop right now. I just bought this program. Like, why would I go spend more money and get a laptop? But that feeling, you gotta trust the feeling. I just knew. I went out there and I got a laptop for a couple K. And to this day, I still have that laptop. One of the best investments I've done still. And that, as you can see, just with those two things, it dropped. And then, there's other software stuff you invest in, and apps to help with the business stuff. But I took the money that I had and I invested in myself. And 6 months later, I ended up getting my first clients. coaching clients, and the rest is history. I mean, there's been ups and downs, don't get me wrong, but bro, I took the jump. There was so much uncertainty. There was quite a bit of fear. I didn't know if I was gonna make it. I don't know if I was gonna flop instantly, but I took the leap. And now I'm in Georgetown, Texas, and it's beautiful where I'm at this point in my life, this chapter. I love it. And it all makes a lot more sense. But yeah, guys. And last thing, real growth, again, requires a decision. Fully commit. Go get after it. Go get it. Get after it. And stop letting yourself down, bro. It's just you. Right? It's you versus you every single day. All the stories that you tell yourself why you can't, why it's not your time, why you just gotta wait a little longer. But you don't know if you got to tomorrow. Hulk Hogan died recently, and he was at an event the night before, and he seemed fine. Next day, he passed away. You just don't know. So take advantage, all right? Now, if you're a gifted entrepreneur, if you're a small business owner, if you're a conscious coach, I would love to personally invite you to my brand new free community. It's called the Becoming Movement. It's here to help you become who you were truly meant to be. Right, I got a free course in there to help you get started. I give you free resources, exclusive content, exclusive tools, everything you need to start healing yourself and start making progress in your business, right? Again, the best of both worlds. I share tips on what's worked for me in my business, on how to, I've been a coach for over 5 years now, right? So I share a lot of healing modalities in there. You can network. It's such a safe space for people that are on the spiritual path, that are entrepreneurs. And I'm there every day. I got you. And let's grow, let's build together. I would love to have you in there. I'm going to leave the school link in the description. I'll see you inside. And if this brought any value to you, drop a comment. Let me know. What was your biggest insight? What was your biggest breakthrough?